Hello, students of the HTE 4730 Hospitality Negotiations and Sales class. We are now getting ready to launch into guided notes on our second book, which is your Hospitality Sales and Advertising book. We're going to be talking about Chapter 2, the Marketing Plan, the Cornerstone of Sales. Okay, so who makes up the marketing team? Or I'd like to say the sales and marketing team. The first one would be that it includes a member from each revenue center. So that would be revenue centers could be conference services. Revenue centers can be the revenue management director. It can be obviously salespeople. It's also people from food and beverage and catering. Those are all revenue centers. They bring in money to the hotel. The next one, non-revenue areas can be represented as well. Obviously, we have people from the front office. That's our main revenue center. They're going to be a part of this meeting. We developed this marketing plan, which is the cornerstone of making our sales efforts come to fruition. What a marketing plan does is it puts into what I call black and white in English to force managers thinking ahead about better uses of property resources and opportunities to make money, obviously. So it sets, number one, responsibilities. Number two, it coordinates. And number three, it unifies the efforts to reach property sales goals. It also creates an awareness of problems and obstacles. All right, so let me give you an example when we talk about creates an awareness of problems and obstacles. As some of you know, I have been in the sales and marketing side of the hospitality business. Oh goodness, I was in that side for over 17 years. And there's always these problems that give customers perceptions about a property, and there's always those obstacles, like your property is hard to get to. So I try to create an awareness of those problems. And the first one that I would say would be that I was a director of sales at a hotel in Tulsa, Oklahoma. It was an Embassy Suites. It was a really great experience for me. And the obstacle that we had for that property, to be very frank, was that you could see us, but you couldn't exit from the highway to get to us. That was a major obstacle. And so always on anything that I gave in terms of collateral material, from my business card to brochures, on the back of my business card was even directions on how to get to my property from the freeway. So in the marketing plan, it identifies opportunities to increase market share in some areas and open new opportunities presently ignored. So market share for us means that within your market, in your primary set of hotels, in my case, the set of hotels that I was competing against, I wanted to be able to get more than my fair share, but have a market share. So I'll go back to my example of my property in Tulsa, Oklahoma. That particular hotel was an all-suite product, and I had some direct competitors, Hawthorne Suites and Residence Inns and those types of products. But the fact is, I needed to go above what my fair share was and increase my market share by sometimes really going into, I hate to say it, rate wars with some of my other suite products. And then I would have rate wars with some of the other properties in the area that didn't have um, the suite, but had more meeting space than I did. So my goal was to always increase that market share. And even though I would compete against those hotels that were not suite product, I still would look at market segments that weren't being considered because they didn't have a suite. Anyway, that just gives you an idea that I always wanted more market share, and I would always try to find little pockets of business, what I call the previously ignored areas, little pockets of business so that I could increase my occupancy at my hotel. We do this marketing plan to ensure that sales, promotion, and advertising are not wasted. So I always would have promotions to bring more business into my hotels. I would obviously advertise in certain forms of media so that I only got 8% of the overall operating budget to have a mark for my sales and promotion, or what I used to call my promotion and advertising budget. And I wanted to make sure that none of that 8% was wasted. Okay, we're back into the marketing plan, the cornerstone of sales, page 46. There are steps to a marketing plan, and when I had to write marketing plans, these are the things I considered. I had to do a marketing audit. What does that mean? I literally had to walk around my property and say, what are the good things I have? What are the bad things I have? And what are the uglies? What things can I just can't overcome? The next thing I would do is I would select my target markets based on that marketing audit. I would position my property accordingly. Positioning essentially means that how my customer saw my product, my hotel in their mind. Let's go back to the Embassy Suites. The Embassy Suites was a very good product. However, it was not a Ritz. It was not a Hyatt. We didn't have the kind of same full service offerings that those properties had. It also helped me determine what were my primary marketing objectives based on things like strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And then, of course, I had to develop my action plans, which action plans are those things that you do each month that are measured by SMART goals that are very specific, it's measurable, they're achievable, they're realistic, and they're timely. Then at each quarter, I was always monitoring and evaluating my plan to see how close was I to meeting my revenue goals. Once again, we're still talking about that marketing plan, the cornerstone of sales. This marketing audit is the research step and the planning process and is sometimes referred to as gathering marketing intelligence. Now, that takes on a lot of different looks, primarily because marketing audits mean that you have to see what the economy is doing and how your area is doing in terms of sales and occupancies and revenue. And I'm always looking at my competition. That was my little marketing intelligence. I always wanted to see what my competition was doing. Systematically gathering, recording, and analyzing information. And analyzing information. This helps me make decisions where to place my advertising dollar, and am I really putting my efforts in the appropriate market segments. Back to page 48, a property should determine the blank, the market segments for which it's best suited. And remember, always focusing on the best target market. Well, we've certainly gone through that chapter relatively quick. I'm kind of surprised by how fast I went through. I was getting a little worried that I wasn't going to have enough time even after the practice session. But it would appear that we are really focusing in on trying to understand what are the best market segments for my particular hotel or event or restaurant. That's always and know what you have to offer. If you're not a Ritz hotel, if you're not a Hyatt hotel, if you're not the Shanahan's, or if you're not Ruth Chris Steakhouse, don't try to be. Price yourself accordingly. And always, 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 this is my personal belief, under promise and over deliver. Thank you so much for your time. See you in the next chapter.